I'm on a windswept ridge in Castile, a land of constant, brutal calculation.
For the family below, their entire year will be decided by the dust on that horizon. In this harsh landscape, survival was a gamble taken with every single sunrise. And by dusk, we will see the outcome of their desperate, year-long wager.
Dawn, 3300 AD. The village is built of mud, brick and stone, life stirring before light. At the communal well, women draw water with a practiced silent efficiency. Each pull on the frayed rope is a measure of the day's coming labor. In the fields, Mateo and his son Pedro are already at work, their shadows long. The whetstone's song against the iron scythe blade is the first music of the morning. Mateo patrols the edge of his family's lentil field, their only hope for the winter. Pedro, just 12 years old, clumsily mimics his father's vital preparations. Mateo's gaze is fixed on the horizon, a daily ritual of profound anxiety. A ladybug on a stalk offers a fleeting moment of a childhood nearly lost. But that smile vanishes at the sight of his father's unyielding, tense posture. These lentils are more than food. They are currency for tithes and feudal dues. A neighboring plot lies fallow, its family having already conceded to the inevitable. Back home, Isabel secures the day's water, a resource as precious as grain itself. Around the hearth, she prepares the cocido, a meager stew of chickpeas and herbs. This single meal must fuel a desperate race against the encroaching sun. A wooden icon of Saint Isidore, patron of farmers, watches from a wall niche. Through a small unglazed window, Isabel's eyes search for her husband and son. The boy runs a water skin to his father, a small but vital contribution. Mateo accepts with a weary nod, his calloused hand a map of ceaseless toil. They share a drink, but their vigilant watch over the empty horizon never breaks. Isabel joins them now, carrying bread and a small ration of hard sheep's cheese. From above, the three figures are dwarfed by the land and the task ahead. The harvest starts, a rhythmic, frantic battle against time and the coming heat. Mateo moves with brutal efficiency, his scythe felling the dry lentil stalks. The small iron blade severs plants that represent months of careful cultivation. Isabel and Pedro follow, gathering the cut stalks into precious, vital bundles. Sweat cuts paths through the grime on Mateo's brow, his focus absolute. They work without words, a family unit synchronized by shared desperation. Pedro stumbles under a load, his young frame straining with a man's burden. Isabel pauses only to adjust her coif, her sharp eyes calculating the remaining rows. Her hand instinctively finds the worn wooden Marian pendant at her neck, a silent prayer. And then, far to the east, a faint, shimmering haze forms against the blue. Mateo freezes. His worst fear is realized. It is the dust of the flock. He points, a single gesture confirming a year's anxiety for Isabel. Their pace accelerates from frantic to desperate, every movement sharp with panic. The family's small fury contrasts with the vast, indifferent stillness of the plains. The wiry muscles in Isabel's forearms strain with the ferocity of her work. Each pod that falls onto the collection cloth is a victory against starvation. The dust cloud is no longer a haze, but a visible, growing presence. Pedro trips, spilling a bundle. He scrambles to recover every single stalk. In his face, the last vestiges of boyhood are being burned away by fear. Mateo offers no comfort, only a sharp glance. There is simply no time. Their neighbors have retreated indoors, unwilling to witness the coming disaster. Isabel gasps for air between gulps of water, her body pushed to its limit. She makes a hurried sign of the cross, a ward against the power approaching. The dust is now a moving wall, stretching from one end of the world to the other. They are a blur of motion, trying to outrun a tide of dust and hooves. A sharp stalk slices Pedro's hand. The blood is stark crimson against the grime. He ignores the pain, his small hands working with a grim, focused intensity. By midday, the sun is a merciless hammer, the Castilian plains offering no relief. Even the wildlife seeks shelter from the oppressive, suffocating heat. Mateo leans on his scythe, his back screaming in protest, his breath ragged. Isabel brings him water, her brief touch a silent transfer of strength. Their eyes meet. No words are needed to convey the totality of their plight. They return to the harvest, their movements fueled now by pure adrenaline. On the ridge, the first sheep appear, silhouetted against the harsh sun. The sound arrives, a low rumble and the discordant chime of thousands of bells. Pedro looks up, his eyes wide with the terror of a child facing a monster. The sound grows into a roar, the thundering of millions of hooves on dry earth. The lead shepherd and his men descend towards the field, their advance unhurried. They stand with an air of absolute authority, their crooks like royal scepters. The shepherd's face is a mask of indifference, his pale eyes seeing only a path. Mateo lays down his scythe. He will face this power alone. He walks towards them, a lone peasant about to challenge a force of the kingdom. Isabel and Pedro stop, their frantic work ceasing. They can only watch and wait. Mateo stands before the shepherd, the immense power imbalance palpable.
I'm standing now in a place just like theirs. This is the conflict. Not knights and castles, but this. The trampled evidence of a power struggle. It is a farmer's right to his land versus a royal decree granting passage.
For the Mesta, it was a path. For Mateo's family, it was absolutely everything.
Mateo doesn't beg. He negotiates, offering a tithe of what they have saved. The shepherd gives a slow, final shake of his head. The law is the law. He points to the sky, then to the king's seal on his Mesta charter. Hope these in Mateo's eyes. The king's will is as absolute as the sun. The shepherd gives a silent command, and the sea of wool begins to pour down. A river of sheep floods the field, an unstoppable tide of legally sanctioned ruin. A raw, soundless scream tears from Isabel's throat as she resumes her frantic gathering. Pedro runs into the flock, snatching bundles away from the trampling hooves. Mateo does not move. He is a statue of defeat amidst a storm of chaos. A year's labor is ground into the dirt under the weight of 1,000,000 sheep. Isabel and Pedro fight for scraps, two small figures against an overwhelming force. They are swallowed by the moving flock, their desperate efforts almost futile. Pedro looks to his father for guidance, but finds only a hollowed-out man. This is the Mesta's power, a force of nature, protected by the crown itself. The lead shepherd watches impassively, his duty fulfilled, his path now cleared. A sheep calmly eats the very plants Isabel is trying to save right beside her. She is shoved aside by the press of bodies, falling hard among her ruined crop. Within minutes, the vanguard of the flock has already crossed the small field. Mateo sinks to his knees, his hand closing around a single broken stalk. His knuckles are white, a silent testament to his powerless, burning rage. From above, the flock leaves a wide scar of destruction across the landscape. And then, as quickly as it came, the noise subsides, leaving a deafening silence. Isabel and Pedro emerge from the dust, their clothes torn, their bodies bruised. Her face is a canvas of exhaustion, but her eyes burn with defiance. The family stands together in the wreckage of their year, their future uncertain. They begin the somber task of salvaging what little remains of their harvest. From the compacted earth, they retrieve a few scattered, precious lentils. Pedro offers his mother a small, dusty handful, the sum of his desperate efforts. Isabel accepts his offering, her hand trembling slightly as she takes it. The setting sun bathes the ruined field in a beautiful, heartbreaking crimson light. They are small, dark figures gleaning the remnants of their future from the dirt. They work until the last light fails, their movement slow with exhaustion and grief. The walk home is silent, the weight of their loss heavier than any physical burden. Pedro's bare feet tread the rocky path, a painful end to a brutal day. They enter their dark, single-room home, a sanctuary now tainted by defeat. Isabel methodically coaxes a small flame back to life in the central hearth. The firelight flickers, casting long, dancing shadows of the three silent figures. Mateo sits, his gaze lost in the flames, the day's events replaying in his mind. His face is a mask of utter exhaustion, the strong peasant farmer momentarily broken. Isabel moves to the cooking pot, stirring the meager stew with a steady hand. The ladle lifts a thin broth, a stark reminder of their diminished winter stores. She divides what little food they have into 3 wooden bowls. Pedro takes his bowl carefully, his movements now deliberate and somber. The family eats around the fire, enveloped in a profound and heavy silence. Isabel eats with a straight back, her posture a silent act of defiance. Only the scraping of wooden spoons against wood breaks the quiet of the room. Pedro watches his parents, his young face etched with a new, hard-won maturity. A single tear tracks a clean path through the grime on Isabel's cheek. The boy's eyes are no longer those of a child. They are learning to endure. Mateo puts his bowl aside, still staring, lost to the fire and his thoughts. The silence in the room is louder than the thunder of the flock had been. The fire crackles, its embers glowing like the family's banked, resilient anger. Pedro finishes his meal and places a comforting hand on his mother's arm. Isabel looks at her son, and for a moment, her exhaustion softens with love. Her hand covers his, a small, powerful gesture of unbreakable solidarity. Mateo finally moves, reaching for a piece of wood to feed the dying fire. As the flames leap up, they illuminate a flicker of resolve in his eyes. The emptiness is gone, replaced by the grim calculation of what comes next. Outside, the village sleeps under a blanket of stars, unaware of one family's pain. The moon casts a ghostly silver light upon the scarred and empty field. Inside, Isabel begins to clean the bowls, imposing order on their shattered world. Pedro watches his father, a silent understanding passing between son and patriarch. In this small stone room, the family unit remains whole, uncrushed by outside forces. Mateo stands and walks to the wall, touching the icon of Saint Isidore. His weathered fingers trace the simple lines of the carved wooden saint. He turns to his family with a slow nod, a silent vow to continue the fight. Isabel, her back still straight, meets his gaze with deep, unwavering understanding.
In moments like these, recorded only in tax ledgers and parish logs, the firelight holds the memory of their endurance. They survive today. This single lentil represents their meager, hard-won prize. They didn't win, they endured. A quiet refusal to be erased by the forces of power.
A strength built one handful of salvaged, precious lentils at a time.